an Electron rocket built by the commercial startup Rocket Lab successfully launched on its second test flight from New Zealand, carrying the company's first customer payloads into orbit. The Electron blasted off today from the company's private launch facility on the Mahia Peninsula in New Zealand at 2:43 p.m. local time, which is 8:43 p.m. Est on January 19, 0143 GMT. The launch was delayed 24 hours after two ships encroached into the launch's offshore keep-out zone. Rocket Lab had initially scheduled its second Electron test flight for December, but various issues, mainly weather, stopped the company from going ahead with launch. Company representatives said ahead of the first launch window's opening that they were anticipating delays, and wanted to wait for perfect conditions to conduct the test. An attempt a Rocket Lab Electron booster launches on the company's second test flight, called still testing, from the company's Mahia Peninsula launch site in New Zealand on Jan. 21, 2018 local time. The Electron rocket carried 3 small satellites into orbit for Rocket Lab customers. Credit Rocket Lab. This is Rocket Lab's second test flight of the Electron, and it marks an important step toward the company's goal of entering into commercial operations in 2018. The Electron can carry up to about 500 pounds, 225 kilograms of payload, much less than most large rockets, which can carry thousands to tens of thousands of pounds. Electron's smaller size is meant to increase affordability and launch flexibility for customers with smaller payloads. The company's first test launch of the Electron took place on May 25. On that day, the third stage of the rocket failed to reach its desired altitude, a problem that Rocket Lab later said was due to a ground equipment issue. A Rocket Lab Electron booster upper stage separates from its first stage bottom during its second test flight, called still testing, on January 21, 2018. At Rocket Lab, one of the satellites aboard the Electron rocket is a breadloaf-size Earth-observing Dove satellite from the startup Planet, formerly Planet Labs. The other 2 are Lemur Earth-observing satellites from the company Spire. In general, satellites are becoming much smaller and cheaper to build, which is why a handful of companies, including Rocket Lab, are trying to provide a cheaper and more flexible way to get those small payloads into orbit. Larger rockets, like those flown by companies including SpaceX and United Launch Alliance, can carry thousands or tens of thousands of pounds of cargo, and therefore small payloads generally have had to piggyback with larger payloads to get to space. Massive rockets are more complicated to launch, so customers are limited on the turnaround time for a liftoff. Delays can shift launches back by months or years. They're also more expensive to build, which limits the number of launches those companies do, which in turn limits the number of opportunities that customers have to space. Rocket Lab is not alone in trying to open a small launch market. Virgin Orbit, part of the Virgin Group, is working on its launcher-owned small satellite launch system, which can carry payloads of up to about 660 pounds. 300 kg. That system relies on an aircraft to carry the rocket to an altitude of about 35,000 feet 10,700 meters before launching into space. Virgin Orbit has said it plans to make its first test launches in 2018. The company Vector Space Systems is working on a rocket that would carry even smaller payloads, up to about 145 pounds, 66 kilograms, ideally for an even lower cost. Vector is also still working toward its first test launches to orbital altitudes. These companies will also compete with regard to how quickly they can arrange a launch for their customers, how frequently they can launch payloads, and the variety of orbits they can reach. Follow Calico Field at Calico Field. Follow us at space.com, Facebook and Google. Original article on space.com.